So I am making a soup today, and normally I would love to, had made it earlier and want to make it again. I'm actually going away this weekend and have zero room in my freezer. So I'm just going to walk you through it. I have all the chopped up ingredients. I'm going to walk you through it. And then I'll show you the final results, which is still cooking in the pot because I like to keep my pea soup simmering for a few hours, because the longer you let it simmer, the more starches come out of those peas, of those split peas, and the thicker it becomes. So, if you like it a little bit thinner, you can leave it on for an hour or an hour and a half. I definitely like it thicker. I also have barley in there, which I spoke about before. So I want that to kind of all thicken up and just become this really hearty and delicious meal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some oil in a pan. I actually added some sort of like spare rib meat in there, just because, again, it's like really going to be a meal for us. So I added that. That was the first thing I did. I kind of browned the meat on all four sides, just to kind of seal in those juices. And to, let all those flavors then come out, because then those flavors from the meat are really going to be great in helping cook our vegetables and just give the soup a really, really delicious flavor. So the next thing I do is I have some chopped up onion. So we have our onion that's going to go in. So if you're going to add the meat, great. If not, oil, heat your pan, put some oil in. We want to saute some onions. Pretty quickly after, we can put in our carrots and our celery, because these are all very fibrous vegetables. So they're all hard. Nothing's very, very soft. If we were to add zucchini or mushrooms, you can really add any vegetable to this. Like if you have vegetables going bad in your fridge, I would add it to this soup, or really any other soup. But these are all hard fibrous vegetables, so they all can cook kind of in the similar amount of time. If you were adding, like I said, zucchini or mushrooms or anything a little bit softer, I'd probably wait to add that a little bit later. So first thing I'm going to do is add that. Then I like to add my spices. I like to kind of let the spices toast a bit. So I do some salt and pepper, and then I do a little bit of paprika. It kind of like brings out a little bit of, brings like a nice color also, like it deepens. It's not even red. It kind of deepens the peas a little bit. And then just some garlic powder. I let that toast. Then I take my split peas, and I'm sure most of you know what the split peas look like, but they really are just peas that are split in half. I don't know if you can see that, but so I have this, and you can add as much or as little as you want. I usually have like one of those long bags. I usually do about half of a bag. Again, you can do less, you can do more if you want it to be really, really thick. But definitely the more you let it sit, the longer you let it sit, the more starchy it will become, the thicker it will become. So you can do half a bag, you can do a little bit less than that, that's fine too. I let those toast also, right? I think it also just helps bring out the starches a little bit. And just toasting things in general, I think helps bring out flavor. So that's what we do there. The next thing we do is add water. So I usually add 8 to 10 cups of water, depending on how big of a soup you want to make, how big of a pot you have. Again, I don't have so much room in my freezer. I'm also not here this weekend. Normally I love to have, leftovers in my fridge, and we'll eat it over a couple of days or leave some in my freezer, but I don't have a ton of space now. So I'm just really making enough for my family for today. So I used a little bit of a smaller pot. I put 8 cups of water just so that there's not going to be really a ton of leftovers. And then I let it come to a boil, and then I let it simmer. About an hour after it's simmering, that is when I add my barley. You don't want to add your barley too early, because like I said, it really is already the starches are going to come out of those peas. And if you add the barley too early, sometimes it gets like very clumpy. So I add it just like an hour after. So it's kind of behind. It's the cooking process of the barley is behind the cooking process of the peas. So just add a little barley. I don't add a lot. I use about a quarter of a cup of barley. You can add more if you want it to be a little bit hardier. You can add less. And that is really it. I still have this cooking on the stove. Like I said, I want it to get a little bit thicker, but I will just show you really quickly what this looks like. But it looks really, really good. And it's still a bit thin now, if you can see. I don't know if you can see there's some barley in there, and it's definitely starting to thicken up. So I'm going to let it sit there for probably another hour or so. And then that will be it.